Charlotte, the decision to sign Greg Hardy was a very emotional one. You've seen a lot of public outrage with it. Do you understand these responses? And also on your part, was there any unease or any sort of feeling conflicted in any way in bringing Greg Hardy into this organization?
Well, we certainly understand the seriousness of the issues that surround Greg. We do not support domestic violence. We know that we have always in the past been very proactive in terms of our efforts to use the visibility that surrounds this organization to make a significant impact in the community to affect social change. And our decision to do this, we certainly knew that it would be sensitive. We have talked about how we can use this opportunity to really make a good impact and to not only raise the awareness and not only to just talk about the issues of domestic violence, but to take action and to do something productive and good with it. And I think, back 20 years ago, we sat here in a very similar climate, and we partnered with the Salvation Army, and we realized that if people were going to be as interested in what the players did off the field as what they did on the field, that we had a responsibility to use that visibility and partner with an organization that was making significant change. And we have been partnering with the Salvation Army for over 20 years, and they are the second largest provider of domestic violence assistance and shelter in our country. So this is not new to us. We have been advocates in this space for 20 years. And matter of fact, we have just crossed the borderline of raising over $2 billion for the Salvation Army since our association with them. And that's not talk, that's action.
So you feel this organization has the infrastructure in place, and whereas any natural initial response of, well, how do I feel about this? What are my thoughts on this, and how does that mesh with what we can actually do?
Mm-hmm. Not only are these issues serious, they are very complex. And I have learned through some great experts that have been advising the league in the development of a holistic personal conduct policy, that they have informed us that it is in fact that it is better to provide a path out that, coupled with great educational programs, coupled with rehabilitative therapy and resources around both the victim and the perpetrator, that it is better and does more to protect the victim and prevent future violence than a zero tolerance policy. And when you hear that from the experts and they advise you to take that course of action, at some point you have to trust them. They certainly know a lot more than we do in this space, and with their advice we have chosen to embrace it.
You have several roles here. You have your role on the NFL Conduct Committee. You also have your role as brand manager of the Cowboys. Can you talk about how you view this issue with Greg Hardy from both of those perspectives?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Personal Conduct Committee, it is not our role to investigate nor to adjudicate. It is our role to make sure that we have the experts in the field that are doing both of those processes. And we have recognized that, one, we hold ourselves as members of the National Football League and the Dallas Cowboys, that it is a privilege to work for both the Cowboys and in the NFL, and we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And because of that, the legal process takes its place, but we have our own process that puts in place a policy that should you violate the policy, you will be disciplined, but not only disciplined, but you will be provided the resources so that when you come back to the league, that there are programs in place to make sure you have a successful reentry. We have adopted that here. We have always had great programs in place in terms of resources and therapy and educational programs for our players. This policy extends across the board to all of us, and now, which is new, and more resources have been added in light of the events the past few months. So we know that we have the resources in place to address the situation. You have to do more than have the resources, though. You have to have a head coach that will enforce them. You have to have a locker room that is supportive of that, and you have to create the right environment for that to be successful. We're prepared for that.
And how does that differ from how you view this from your standpoint as the brand manager of the Cowboys?
Well, I think, as I have said before, that no one player will ever define the brand of the Dallas Cowboys. It didn't in the 70s, and it didn't in the 90s, and it won't today, and it won't in the future. And as we see players come and go through our organization, we will not change course with what we do with our brand. So for the past 20 years, we have used that. We've used the visibility and the interest to make significant impact in our society. We continue to do that, and we will do that in the future.
Bringing on Greg Hardy with the domestic violence issues he had, you feel it increases the responsibility this organization has in making this move?
Well, absolutely. I think we are on such a public stage with that alone increases that, but we are always have a responsibility and an obligation, whether it be he or any other player that comes through our doors, and we take that very seriously. And we also know that it is our job as an organization to play a game. It's our responsibility to make significant social change with the environment that we are in, and we can do that, and we will continue to do that.
Greg Hardy was here for 2 days, and certainly you're not over personnel in your capacity and discuss that. But did you have a chance to meet with Greg at all? What input did you have in the process of the Cowboys signing Greg Hardy?
Well, first of all, we have talked internally a lot about the standards that we have here with our organization. We've talked a lot about the personal conduct policy. We share opinions consistently and constantly about who we are as a brand and what who we want to be and how we want to be perceived. And I think through this process that there was a lot of conversations with Greg and with the coaching staffs and putting ourselves in the position to actually make the decision to bring him on, knowing that he's committed to change. He's committed to being a part of this team and to the standard that we have, and everyone is prepared for that.
So there were discussions, and like, Greg, if you sign here, we expect you to take part in these programs or to do these things, and also there's a component of the league coming down. They may also mandate some requirements as well.
Certainly, his contract, addresses all of that, and I think we were very aware of what we were doing there. The personal conduct policy will do that as well.
One of the, you are on the conduct committee, as we mentioned. Any conflict of interest, because his position right now, he is on the commissioner's exempt list. Right. There is a possible suspension, impending suspension, once he is reinstated. Conflict of interest at all with you being part of that 9-person committee?
Not at all, because that's actually not our role. We don't evaluate, we don't investigate, and we don't adjudicate. So all of that process actually takes place aside from the committee. Actually, I think what I have learned through that process has put us in a better position to make an evaluation and feel comfortable with the decision that we've made.
So the way that committee's structured, you don't have to recuse yourself from any sort of discussions or conversations, because it doesn't apply to specific individuals. You're about policy, overall policy.
That is correct. There's no conflict.
Okay. A few more things. We were talking about the response earlier. Mayor Mike Rawlings came out after this was done and said he felt that this was a a kick in the gut as far as a Cowboys fan, that he would, while he would still cheer for the team, he doesn't have to agree with everything it does, and he wouldn't be buying any Greg Hardy jerseys anytime soon. What is your response to that?
Well, certainly we are supportive of the mayor's platform against domestic violence. I think you've seen that. We've been right there along with him, supporting that movement. And what I think is that we have a responsibility. We take this issue very seriously, but we truly believe from the experts that we have been informed by that we believe in a second chance, and that a second chance and a path out is the best way to protect the victim and prevent future violence. We don't believe in throwing people away.
Another, I'll say probably a consistent strain of the criticism or questioning the move would be, well, isn't there an element of situational ethics here? If Greg Hardy wasn't as good of a player as he is, would the organization even make this move? And how do you answer that, and how do you respond to that sort of question?
I don't believe that it's situational at all, because I think as we are defining through our policy that it is very clear that there is a process to investigate whatever allegation it may be in whatever form it may be, not just domestic violence. And through that process, what happens next? Then there's a disciplinary process, and there's a process to come back. And what does that entail? And there's the educational services around that. So that is for any player or for any employee that works here. So this, I don't expect this to be the last time that we have to address this issue. I think it's only the beginning of it under a new, stronger policy than we've ever had before. And we certainly believe that we should be held to a higher standard. So we plan to do so.
Another local criticism locally was from Dale Hansen, sportscaster. Did you see that, and what is your response? Even if you didn't see it, certainly you've heard about it. What is your response to some of the things Dale had to say?
But I have heard about it. And first of all, I believe we have an incredible opportunity here with the Cowboys, that we enjoy an inordinate amount of popularity and visibility and interest. And it is our job and our responsibility to do something with it. A lot of people talk about what should be done. Very few people do the right thing. And I think we have a track record of making a difference and making significant change by partnering with those who know how to make that work. The Salvation Army is a perfect example of that.
So wrapping all of this up, what would you say to fans who are conflicted about this move, about why you did it, and why you feel this was in the best interest of the team, and how you'll move forward with it? And while you understand or respect some people may not want to buy his jersey, just how you proceed from there and taking all that.
Absolutely. I think twofold here. First, I think as an organization that we are prepared for him to come to the Cowboys, and we are prepared with the resources and the support to make that transition and to make effective change here for him and for our organization. But we also have the ability to use this platform to make a significant impact in our community. And that is probably the greatest responsibility we have with the Dallas Cowboys, is how do we use that visibility and that interest to affect the lives of those who need it most? And that is what we are committed to.